do it if you want. Then if you need some help to choose outfits, because we have a special theme for every night. Tonight is black, white and red actually, but well, I think red is more for the women tonight. So we meet at the hotel about 5:30. We start at 6, but you can go down earlier so you can meet your translators / matchmakers and get to know each other a little bit better, so they can ask you some questions to know better what is it that you actually are looking for from this event and everything. Then we will start. Some women in Mexico, actually another thing for you to know, they might be late sometimes. So we probably will start the program about like 6:15, 6:30. We'll see how many women we will have by then, and then the place will be filling up. I know you may be like feeling the connection with a certain woman, but we need to give chance for everyone to get to know each other. That's the purpose. Your matchmaker will have a list with women, with tables, so we have orders, so we don't lose the woman, so it doesn't happen like, I like that woman on somewhere on some table, she was wearing a red dress and she had this type of hair, and no, this is not gonna happen. Your matchmaker will make notes to make sure that we have detailed information of who likes who, so we can later organize individual dates for you with specific women. Yeah, so you basically need to relax, have fun, but follow the schedule.
Your matchmakers, tomorrow morning, we'll already be talking to all of the women you met during the social, and we'll already be setting up dates. Welcome to our office. We're shooting this video during our Mexico City single tour, and all our clients are gone today to see the pyramids. So their matchmakers have a chance to work from home, scheduling all the dates. But there are 2 girls at our agency who work without days off. Please meet Alina, my business partner, and please meet Olga, our head matchmaker. We're from Ukraine and from Russia, but we do call Mexico home. We've started working with AFA in 2012 back in Ukraine, and we've expanded to Mexico in 2015 when we moved living here.
Once again, welcome to Mexico, and we hope to see you very soon.
Gentlemen, it is Monday night, and that means it is time for our live webcast. Yes, I am alive, and I am here. They let me in the building, and they got me on the camera here. Yes, all by myself. That doesn't happen very often anymore, but I am here and glad to be with you. My name, for those of you that don't know me, is John Adams. I'm one of the co-founders of A Foreign Affair. And I will be with you for the next 60 minutes or so, talking about all things having to do with international dating, love, marriage, all those wonderful things, right? And I actually experienced it myself. I was lucky enough to meet my wife some 28 years ago now in St. Petersburg, Russia, at a social, like the stuff that you see here on the videos. We were lucky to meet there, at least I was lucky. Hopefully she thinks she was lucky. It's been 28 years, you would think, but you never know. If it worked for me, it can work for you, right? And that's what I always say. Actually, I want to tell a little bit of story today, but before I do that, I want to get into a little bit of housekeeping. We have some really cool things on the horizon coming up, guys. And I talk about it all the time because you know me, I'm not crazy about just sitting there and writing letters and being the keyboard Romeo and all that. I'm about going over and meeting these wonderful women in person. That's what we've been about for the last 30 years. And we really, really try to get you guys to do that. We do lots of different ways to do that. We offer all kinds of different vehicles, from group tours to individual services to executive type services. Whatever your flavor, you can find it here in order to go and actually meet the woman in person, right? So that's a wonderful thing. We also offer seminars that talk about, no, not just writing letters, but actually going over and meeting the women. We talk really about our group tours more than anything at those seminars, and they're a lot of fun. You get to meet other guys like you that are thinking about doing something like this. And some of these guys have been with us before, and they tell us their stories, which is really cool because you get to meet actual clients that have gone in the past. And some guys are totally new, like you may be, and you're kind of interested, like, what is this thing? Can it really work for me? I don't know. And then you come to the seminar, and hopefully by the end of that, you realize that, yeah, maybe this could work for you. Maybe this is something that you should explore. So I highly, highly recommend that you go to one of our seminars. It's normally me, myself, and my wonderful wife, Tanya, that are your hosts there. But like I said, we also have guests that come in, normally that have been on our tours and want to share their experience. And we normally don't even know they're coming. We don't even ask. It's just that when we do these things, we build this community. And I've been talking about this forever. It is a community. And when someone meets their special someone via this community that we've created over the last 30 years, they want to talk about it. They want to share. I have gentlemen and their wives that will go to our tours, either in Mexico or in Thailand, and they will go in front of the group at the social and just share their story. Like, hey guys, this can work. And the woman, hey ladies, this can work because it worked for me. I met my husband here, right? And they do that. Again, we're not paying for them to do that. We're not really asking them to do that. They just want to share. And that says a lot about, I think, the service and the company behind it. So we will be doing a seminar June 28th in San Jose, California. So really looking forward to that. We will also be doing one in Vegas. We love Vegas. Boy, when we do Vegas, we just get tons of guys coming from all over the country because it's a great excuse to go to Vegas. Go see what a foreign affair has going on and then go play in Vegas, right? So we get lots of guys, and so we're going to do, we'll do one last summer too. Well, we did one more recent than that, but I remember last summer, right around July, we did one in Vegas, and it was wonderful. So we're going to go there. It'll be a little hot. Bring your bathing suit, but it'll be fun. That's July 12th in Vegas. And then we've got another one here in Phoenix at our home office here on July 26th. So if you're anywhere around the Arizona area, maybe even California, you want to shoot down, maybe Southern California, don't want to go up to San Jose, San Francisco area, shoot over to Phoenix, that's fine too, whatever it is. But we'd love to see you at our corporate offices here in Phoenix for the July 26th seminar. Okay, so those are the next 3 days. We'll have some more up here soon for the a little bit further east, but right now that's where we're headed for those 3 seminars. We also have some tours coming up, and I believe there's still space and time to get on the 4 tours that I'm going to talk about here. So if you're one of those kind of guys that are spur of the moment, kind of last minute guy that wants to jump on something, well, you got time to jump on something. We got the Cebu, Philippines tour happening May 22nd. Okay, today's the 12th. That's 10 days from now. You don't need a visa to go there. All you got to do is get yourself on a plane and get over there. So there's still time, and I believe capacity for you to get on that Cebu tour. So if you can get on that one, we'd love to see you. And that's going to be, again, May 22nd to Cebu. The Filipino women are so wonderful, and there's so many great things about it. And the one really cool thing, guys, if you didn't know, is Cebu and the Philippines in general is the only destination that we go to where all the women speak English. So you don't have any kind of a language barrier whatsoever to worry about, right? So that makes it a little bit easier to navigate, So think about that. Plus the women are just so warm and caring and friendly and open and always smiling. And Philippines is really cool. It really is. So if you can get yourself over there on that tour, Do it. You'll love it. But then maybe you can't go May 22nd, but you're available May 29th. Well, then you're in luck because we have a tour to Bangkok on the 29th. And Bangkok's another amazing destination, right? And so you could go to Bangkok and you can meet some wonderful women there. But if that doesn't work, well, then on June 5th, we have a tour to Mexico City. And I'm going to be in Mexico City. I'm looking forward to that one. That's going to be great. And Mexico, we haven't done a ton of tours in Mexico City. We just started a few years ago doing them, but we've had marriages, and actually in just about another 20 minutes or so, we're going to bring on some special guests, and one of them met his wife via the Mexican tour, and he's going to be talking about his experience. And I just talked to another gentleman about a week ago or so that is in Mexico right now with his fiance, they're going through the fiance visa process. Wonderful, wonderful gentleman. And he's all excited and loves the service there in Mexico and everything that's happened with them. So there's a lot of good things happening there as well. But if Latin America is not where you want to spend your early June days, then we have another tour happening in early June, June 5th as well, going to Shenzhen, China. So for those of you that would rather search in an Asian country, Shenzhen, China is an amazing opportunity. And China's a little bit different the way we're doing the socials there. They're going to be a little bit smaller, but there's going to be more of them. So it's going to be very interesting. So instead of having the two main socials like we have here, you're going to have the opportunity to have 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 kind of mini socials that we're going to be doing in China. It's just kind of a new way we do. You know, every part of the world we go to is a little bit different in the way that we do the introductions, we do the socials, whether we're doing speed dating at the social or not doing speed dating, or how many we're having in China is no exception. So it is going to be a little bit different, but really cool. And I think last time we went there, the guys really liked it. They liked that format. They liked the way we did it. So we're trying that again here in Shenzhen. So yeah, it's a wonderful thing. Now, as I said, I want to talk a little bit about a story. And, you know, one of the things I've been talking about for years, again, I've been at this now for 30 years. I have the gray hair to show it. Yeah, I know. But I've been around this for a long time. And what I tell guys who are serious about doing this is that you don't need to write a ton of letters. You don't even need to write any letters if you don't want to. A lot of guys feel like they have to or they want to. And you can if you really want to. There is a place for it, but you don't want to let it get out of hand. You don't want to go crazy and write a ton of letters. And you know, it's a great little story that happened today. We had a client that came in today, and he's going to be on the tour to Mexico with us. And you know, he had watched some of the videos, and he said, "Yeah, John, I know you kind of joke about how no one ever listens to you because I've been saying this stuff for 30 years. Yet we'll have guys, and I have another gentleman who's writing for like a year, and it's like, why are you doing that? You know, not even a phone call or anything. It's like, yeah, don't do that." And this client said, "I actually listened to you. I just started looking at the site and I decided not to wait forever. So I signed up for the Mexico tour and I haven't even written a single letter." I'm like, finally, somebody's listening. So that's great. And I want to give him a little shout out, you know, and a little applause because you're going. And so what's going to happen? You know, you're going to go and you're going to meet some wonderful women. You know, can we guarantee you're going to meet the woman of your dreams? No. But can we guarantee you're going to meet the woman of your dreams if you write to her before you go and you think the letters are just great and perfect and then you meet and then there's no chemistry? Yeah, that can happen too. So to me, you know, yeah, if you want to write to a few women before you go and you have a plan and, hey, I'm going to be in Mexico or I'm going to be in Colombia and maybe you want to meet at a social or do you want to go out individually? And if you want to do a little bit of that before you go, with a plan in mind of actually going and a date, like when you're going, and don't do it a year out, maybe a month out or so, okay, then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, you know, but if you're really interested in meeting someone, then you don't need to write forever. Now, look, there's some of you that you're never going to go anywhere. You don't want to go anywhere, and you find value in just writing back and forth, and if that's what you want to do, then that's fine too, if that's really the only utility you want from it. But it really depends on what you want. But for those of you that are really, really serious and really want to meet someone, then yeah, the best bet is to actually go and meet someone. I know it sounds so obvious, right? But it isn't always so obvious. Sometimes guys think that before they go, they have to, right? They have to get something going, something concrete. Some guys will even buy an engagement ring before they go, just based on correspondence or whatever they had. And then when they get there, it's like kissing their sister. There's like no chemistry. And then they go to the social the next day, and they do find someone that's worthy of putting that engagement ring on, right? So that's what's wonderful about these tours is that, yeah, okay, some of you are going to listen to what I'm saying, then you're going to do the opposite, you're going to write, and that's fine. The only thing I ask is when you go over, maybe to meet this woman that you've been writing to forever, that you try to schedule at least a round of tour so that you can have some backup, right? And have that ability to meet other women just in case, okay? All right. I know I did, for those of you that know me, I had a little bit of Mountain Dew today. So I'm going to start ramping up here a little bit. I'm going to try and control myself. They won't let me drink coffee around here, but I can sneak in a Mountain Dew now and then, although I've been off of it, the juice, for a while. But I did do it a little bit today. It's a Monday. I'm trying to get going here. All right. Ernie says, good evening, John, exclamation point. All right. It's good to see you. Great to see you. I'm looking forward to my vacation in Ukraine, July 21st to August 2nd. I will arrive in Odessa on Sunday so that I have time to acclimate. Haven't worked out the travel logistics yet because I am anticipating flight openings due to the signing of the minerals deal. I know it will take some time, but it doesn't hurt to be optimistic. Hope to talk with you soon. Sincerely, Ernie. All right, Ernie. Congratulations. Yeah, he's going over. I believe he's on that tour that we're going to be doing in July. Over there in Ukraine. And I know that some of you are like, well, John, how can you do that? There's a war going on, and there is. And there is definitely a heightened risk of going to the Ukraine with that happening. But there are many, many people that are going to the Ukraine, and some of our clients have really expressed an interest in going, and they're going to go anyway individually and would like the support of a group tour, which is why we decided to do that. And we've done about 4 of them, 4 group tours since the war started, and knock wood, some glass table here, but everyone's done very well. And most of the men come back saying, yeah, it was pretty much just as normal. Like, you're in a city, every once in a while there's an air alert or things like that, but for the most part, it was just kind of business as usual for most of the guys. But again, this tour is not for everyone, and there is definitely a heightened risk, and so, this is something you have to give a lot of consideration to if this is something you want to do, to go to the Ukraine during this time. All right, Lakota says, I felt safer in Colombia than the States. Lakota, I've had that same feeling, actually. I've been to Colombia many times, and you can just walk around at night and you feel pretty safe. Whereas, in the States, depending where you are and where you're walking around, and that could be true for Colombia too, though. I mean, in the parts of the cities that we go to, we're usually staying in the very good parts and everything. I imagine there's places you can go in Colombia where you're not going to feel as safe. But it's all about knowing your surroundings, being aware of your surroundings, being careful on what you're doing, how you're presenting yourself out there in a foreign country. And if you listen to what we tell you and you're careful, normally you're not going to have a problem. Again, we've been doing this for 30 years, and we've never lost anyone yet, thank God, that did not want to be lost. Now, we do have some guys that just never wanted to come back. But that was by choice. And I don't blame them, because there's some wonderful, beautiful women there, and, they just don't want to come back. And I've literally had guys that have, come back, but they've sold everything and they moved. The gentleman that I was speaking with this morning that came into the office to talk, that I was just talking about, who didn't write any letters, is going on the Mexico tour. He's seriously contemplating moving to Mexico, and it is a real valid reality for a lot of the guys. Once you start getting into your late 50s, 60s, and you're thinking about, where do I want to slow down? Where do I want to go? Where do I want to live out my life? And a lot of guys are opting for places like Costa Rica, like Mexico, like Colombia, Peru. It just depends, really. So, yeah. All right. I'm going to try and get to a few of these questions here. Pete wants to know, are there any excursions on the Mexico tour? Absolutely, Pete. We do have an excursion that goes around and looks at the different monuments and the points of interest that you may want to spend a little bit more time with yourself or with a date later on. But we try to show you these places. You're seeing it right now, I think, on your video. And that's really cool. It gives you an idea of where you want to spend more time. And then I believe they also have some optional excursions that you can do as well. But this one is for everyone and included. So yeah, we do that. Okay. David wants to know, will the tours of Chongqing be coming back in any current plans? We just did Shanghai. We have Shenzhen going on, so I don't see us doing another city there. We're flirting with Japan right now, with Tokyo, and you may see that coming up here pretty soon. So we're expanding. We're going to lots of different places right now, especially in Asia. So you're starting to see this, but we're playing around with some other countries. You might start seeing some more things in Vietnam. So a lot more going on in Asia right now as well. Okay. And Blue, who's going to be on with us in just a few minutes, says he feels safer in Mexico than he does in LA. Well, who doesn't? I mean, yeah, we just talked about that a little bit, but yeah, I could see that. Chris says, if any of the men tonight are spooked about visiting another country, in capital letters, he says, put that out of your mind. What's he saying here? I missed it now. Excuse me. Hold on. There was one little thing he had here. AFA will take care of you. Yes, we will take care of you. Now, you have to listen a little bit about, what we tell you. Again, I make that joke about no one ever listens to us. Like, if you're going to a foreign country and you're not used to it so much, do you really want to wear your Rolex everywhere you go and big diamond rings and flash a wad of cash? And do you even want to do that in Phoenix so much? I mean, you got to be careful and use common sense when you travel. And we give you these tips, right? Do not make yourself a victim. And if you listen to us, you'll be fine. I've been traveling for 30 years, all these different places. Never once have I had any incident that I can recall where I felt victimized or anything like that. And I travel a lot. But I'm not usually in the bars at 3 a.m. and, drop dead drunk and things like that, right? Because then nothing, and I've been telling my kids this for years, but nothing very good usually happens after midnight, okay? It just doesn't. So, if you're going to be out that late in places like that, be careful. Be with a group. We have groups. When you're on a group tour, be with buddies. That kind of thing. Be careful when you're doing stuff like that. All right. Ukraine Dave, how you doing, Ukraine Dave? Let's see, it's working. Ukraine Dave is our benefactor when it comes to our sounds effects. So, yes, thank you, Ukraine Dave. We appreciate it. And by the way, I'm sorry about that park. Any of you guys that went to that seminar in LA, LA and parking's a pain in the butt. And I guess there was a bigger charge at the parking. But just so you know, Dave, Michelle's working on that. We may be able to get a little bit of refund for that. But we'll talk to Michelle about that. Steve wants to know, John, is there space still available for the July Odessa Kyiv tour? It's getting tight, Steve. I was just checking it today. There are a few spots left, but considering that's not until July, we're only in May, that's going to sell out. So if you are interested in getting on that tour, you need to get with Michelle sooner than later and at least get your $475 deposit in there. Don't put your deposit in there if you really don't think you're going to go. But if you think you're going to go, put your $475 deposit down, because if you wait till, say, July even, you're probably not going to be able to get on that tour, or even probably mid-June. So I would try to get on there sooner. Could even sell out actually before even June, because it's pretty close already. And, if you guys don't know me, I don't say that just to try, go on the tour, especially this one. This one's for the guys that really want to go and understand the elevated risks of going to someplace like the Ukraine right now. Steve says, yeah, it all depends on which part of the city you're at. There are safe places, unsafe places everywhere. Totally agree with that, Steve, yeah. Let's see here. Cody says, Ola and I will be celebrating our son Nicholas's first 1-year birthday on Thursday. I met my wife and Nikolai through AFA, so it does work. Cody, woohoo! 1 year. Yeah, and I met Nicholas when Cody and Ola brought him to our seminar in Chicago. Again, I didn't really know they were coming. Or maybe he mentioned he might be coming. Yeah, now that I think about it, he might have mentioned he was coming. But it's such a cool thing for them to go to another state. We were actually literally, it's in Illinois, Chicago. Came to another state to be there and just share how things went for him, what happened, all that stuff. So cool, so cool. Cody, John, the website needs to be updated. Now Cody's giving me a hard time. Yes, Cody, I know that. And we have meetings all the time, and we're working on it, but it's complicated, is all I can say. We should make that movie. There is a movie called It's Complicated, I think. And it is complicated in a lot of different ways, not just to update it, but you'd be amazed at how complicated it is. Why? Because compare us, you can't really compare us, but look at what's happening right now in Newark with the air traffic controllers, right? They have the best possible technology for the 80s, and we're in 2025. And so, yeah, we have a wonderful website, but yeah, I know it's dated, but because we've been around so long, we're kind of a victim of that because it's a little bit of a Frankenstein. So we're working on it, but just give us a little time. Yeah, Lakota wants us to do a seminar in Atlanta. We've done several in Atlanta over the years, but we're going to get towards the East Coast here a little bit later this year. And I know, Cody, no seminars in the Midwest. I get it. We're going to try, but we haven't done one in the areas that we did one in Vegas not too long ago. I get that, but we haven't done one in Northern California in a long time. So we got to get over there too. David, what is the fee if we marry one of your staff in your office in Mexico? $1 million. Don't do that. Stop marrying our staff people. Okay, I joke about it all the time. There is no actual fee, although there should be, because then we have to pay tons of money to replace these wonderful people, and they're hard to find. They're not easy. But yeah, that's funny. And we do lose a lot of staff members to you guys. Yeah. Oh, David wants to know, what do you think the largest differences between Chinese and Filipino women, having to decide between them? Thank you for your time. Okay, real quick here. I would say that obviously the language, because everyone in the Philippines speaks English, whereas not everyone in China does. So you have that as one large difference. Another difference would be somewhat of the age elasticity. Okay, so the age difference is a little bit more elastic in the Philippines when it comes to foreigners there than it is in China. So if you are looking for a little bit of a larger age difference, maybe you still want to have children or something like that, and you need to have maybe a 25-year age difference or something like that, or maybe even a little bit more, then you are probably going to have more luck with that in the Philippines than you are in China. The women in the Philippines are a little bit more open to that larger age difference. But other than that, I mean, you're also going to, religion, I mean, that's another big difference. I mean, you're going to find heavily Catholic influence in the Philippines, whereas in China, there's just not. So you're going to have that difference there as well. Okay. How many of the Mexican women speak English? Luther, I wish I could answer that for sure. Maybe we'll get a little bit better when I get some of these other guys on. We're going to be going to Mexico in a minute. But, at the socials, it's probably going to be somewhere in that 25 to 30% range, or speaking English, maybe a little bit more. But it depends, somewhere in that range. You're going to have an interpreter with you at the whole time. You should be boning up on your Spanish a little bit before you go on the tour. It helps a little bit. And, there's wonderful translation devices you can buy now. There's ones where you can just stick it in your ear, and it will translate real time as you're talking. It was only like, $25-50. So it's amazing what you can get out there. Of course, you got to have an internet connection while you're doing it, but pretty wild stuff out there right now. And Chris is saying, Costa Rica, Mexico, Chris in the house. Can't miss Hunter being on tonight. All right, very cool. Well, he's going to be here really soon. All right. So, matter of fact, it is top of the hour. Blue says, John, that Mountain Dew rots your memory. Yeah, I know. Lakota wants to be the first one to sign up for Tokyo. You got a few guys ahead of you already, Lakota. People are wanting to go on the Tokyo one, so when we get that up, it's going to be interesting. Yeah. All right. So what I'm going to do here is cut over, and Jeff is here. So, Jeff, how are you, sir?
I am doing good. Just want to get out of California.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm in Arizona, and there's a lot of people who want to get out of California because they all come here, it seems.
Oh, no, not true.
Really? Where are they going? Well, not you. You're going somewhere else, but...
Let me do something real quick. Okay.
Dead space, dead
I
air.
had to mute the mic
All right.
on the show.
Okay. So anyways, yes, a lot of people are trying to get out of California. You're one of them. And you are going, I won't say where you're going. You can say if you want, but there's
Oklahoma,
millions of
man.
people. Oklahoma. All right. That's a great song about Oklahoma, you know.
Yeah, I know it. I sing it to my wife all the time.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So who is that? That was Three Dog Night, wasn't it? Oklahoma, 3 Dog Night?
No.
The one that I'm thinking
Musical.
of. Not
Show.
the musical.
Oklahoma.
Nah, I'm not talking about that. You're showing your age there, Jeff. Stop that. Don't do that. All right. Anyways,
I thought the gray hair was...
well, that's showing your age too. I knew Jeff before he had this wizard beard going on, but you know, you look pretty good. I gotta tell you, you do look good.
My wife likes it.
Well, that's all that really matters.
Yeah, you know, it's the reason I think she wanted me to grow it is so she could grab it and yank me around.
Yeah, well, okay. I'm going to shut up about that one. All right, so first of all, a big round of applause. You know, you met your wife in Mexico, and now you're married, and that's a wonderful thing. You're working to get her here, which takes time because of all of our wonderful immigration laws
But,
and
you know,
policies.
with visas, you know, a lot of people say, oh, do the fiance visa, that's the best one, but there are limitations to that, and we didn't want to have those limitations with her because she wants to be able to go down and visit her sons and other family that she has down there.
Okay, all right.
And with the fiance visa, you can't travel outside the country for a period of time. With a spousal, you can.
Yeah, you get more of the green card, the temporary green card, and all that right away with the spousal as opposed to the fiance. You're right. You can get the advanced parole on the fiance once you get married. It takes an extra month or so, and then you can travel like you could with a spousal. But yeah. All right. So, anyways, I want to talk a little bit about Mexico City because we're going to be there pretty soon, and
I'm going to be down there in June.
you're going to be there too. I know. You know, it's just wonderful. You know, I've done like 2 or 3 seminars, and Jeff just happens to be there because our schedules coincide that way. And he comes and he shares.
That's the beauty
and
of being retired.
that is the beauty of being retired. You like traveling all over the place, but he does come and he shares his experience, which is really cool. And you saw at those seminars there were several other guys that have used the service, that had success, that were there sharing their experience as well. Even you were in Cleveland. Oh no, yeah, you were in Cleveland. You weren't in Chicago, Cody.
I was in Cleveland.
Yeah, you were in Cleveland. I was thinking Cody, but Cody was Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago, right.
Yeah. So, anyways, tell us a little bit about your story, Jeff, because a lot of guys know you, but a lot of guys don't. We get new, there's millions and millions of viewers out there. We get new ones all the time. So tell them about your story.
I know. Okay, well, I joined AFA in 2019. Went to Ukraine twice, Germany once on my own, and Mexico twice for the socials down there. The second social I went down, you know, met wonderful people down there. Went on 5 dates with different women. But my wife was the 5th date, and that was all she wrote. The funny thing is kind of like you and Tanya, she didn't want to be there. She didn't want to date anymore, didn't want to have any relationship. She was done. Her friends dragged her to the social, and she crumpled her name tag so nobody could read it. She had these walls built up around her that nobody was really paying attention to her or noticing her, and it's like she was the only one at the table I noticed. And she agreed to go. She didn't even leave her phone number so they could contact her. So one of the ladies at the table, they had to contact her to get her number, and we set up the date. And our first date, 8 hours.
Wow.
We the funny thing is, people are worried about communication and making sure they can speak English or not, or she couldn't speak English. We used my phone as with the translator app, and 8-hour date. My phone died. She had downloaded it on her phone, and we continued the date using her phone.
How well did that app work for you? Was it pretty good?
It was awesome. It was just, we have a conversation like you and I are having now. We video chat almost every night, and when we do, we use that, and we spend a couple hours a day talking.
So is she attempting to learn any English, or?
Yeah, she understands me more now than she's able to speak.
Okay, that's normal.
And I understand her more than I'm able to speak.
Okay, yeah, because that's my brother met someone in Cartagena, and he was a chef, so he had a lot of kitchen Spanish, right? But they would get on whatever, Google, whatever, and they would, or YouTube. And they would share each other's language with each other, right? And teach each other the language as part of their dating, as part of their communication. It was great because she was learning more English, he was learning more Spanish, and it was wonderful. They did that for like a year and a half.
Yeah, and in fact, her sons are learning English too. And her older son, actually, he and I can carry on fairly decent conversations without translator app.
Cool. All right, so that language barrier really didn't affect you at all then.
Exactly, and that's one big thing I can tell guys is don't let that bother you. Download the Google Translator app. It works great, and they have those headphones now, which I've spoken to a couple people that have used those, and they say those are even better.
Tanya was told this story, and I've talked to some other guys too, and she shared it, but guys have told us that when there is somewhat of a language barrier, that they're forced to listen more to what the woman's saying, and the communication's almost better than when you both speak the same language and you're thinking about what you're going to say while the other person's talking because you don't think you really have to listen that carefully. Whereas when you really have to listen to that person, all of a sudden you start to understand them even better than a local. Would you agree to that? Or?
My wife and I both agree to that. We've actually talked about that and how awesome that really is.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's like when you meet somebody at the socials, you have to kind of feel a little bit of a connection too, and that's why the letter writing campaign thing is really, it's useless because you don't know a person until you meet them in person.
Yeah. Well, I've been saying that for years. Is that again, I talked about at the beginning of the show.
I know reasons. The first seminar I went to in 19 with you guys. You told me that, and I had been writing this one lady, and we were like, we got a connection. I met her, and things were okay, but it didn't work out. She kind of, I don't know if it was her or the translator we were using, felt that, I'm over there, and they can just use me as an ATM.
Right. That's terrible. So you just never know. And that's why it's so much better to go and just date. Meet these women.
Yeah. And when going down to Mexico, the women I've written with, that I go down there, and I've been out with a couple of them on dates, and no chemistry, but meeting somebody at the social, there's chemistry.
Well, yeah, because you know it when you meet. I mean, you can see it. It's just, that's the way it's supposed to be. And, it's not just us. The world's going that way, right? I mean, people, especially younger people, don't even know how to date anymore. They're on the screen all the time, and they're on all these apps, these do-it-yourself apps, and they hardly ever meet in person. They don't even know how to ask a girl out anymore. I mean, it's getting ridiculous.
Exactly. And one of the beauties, too, especially as opposed to dating in the States, is you can be a gentleman, and the women respect that, and it means a great deal to them. You know, simple things like when you're walking down the street with her, have her walk on the inside and you walk on the outside where the cars are. You know, in Mexico, the women kind of expect that from the guy.
Yeah.
Here in the States, you'll get bitched at. You
I
know?
can do that. I can deal with the car.
Opening the door for the women. Kissing her hand. I was talking to one guy, and I mentioned about, you know, kissing the lady's hand, and he goes, "You can do that?" It's like, oh my God, yeah.
Well, you know, unfortunately, for better or for worse, whatever, you know, look, every place is different. And here, the masculine and the feminine roles have become much more muddled. And
Yes.
it's harder for guys to figure out the key, to figure out the puzzle, how to act. And every woman is a little bit different, right? Some are going to be more, I don't know, independent, whatever you want to call it.
You know what? I was talking to my son-in-law today about it too, about how it's almost impossible for the average decent guy to date in the States, and he was agreeing with me. And he and my daughter have been married now for what, going on 10 years?
Yeah, it is more difficult, and part of that is because people just aren't FaceTiming them anymore. They're just on these apps and everything, and it's hard to socialization, even with friends. I mean, if you spend so much time on a screen, it's changing
Yes.
the personal dynamics. It really is.
And even video chatting, I mean, it's a good way to make sure she is who she says she is. When you video, because I video chatted with several women, but when you meet them in person, still, you don't know if there's a connection. I was video chatting with one lady that I met down in Mexico, and when we met in person, neither one of us felt any chemistry. I even was like, because I really liked talking with her in the letters and in the video chat and stuff, and even because when we met, we were having a good conversation and everything, but nothing there, and I was trying to force it, so I tried to hold her hand, and I felt absolutely no connection whatsoever, and she felt the same exact way.
Yeah, and that happens, and that's why I think going to one of these socials where you have the ability to meet multiple women, not just one night, but 2 nights, right? Different women, same guys. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So what would you say about the socials in general? I mean, you've been to the socials in Ukraine, you've been to socials in Mexico. So any tips you would give to the guys about how to navigate a social, what to do, what not to do?
Number one thing, be yourself, who you are on an everyday basis. Don't put a front on. You know, be who you are, because eventually they're going to see through that facade.
Yeah, be comfortable in your own skin, right? The women want a man who's confident and comfortable in his own
Yes.
skin. If you're trying to be something you're not, or just going crazy or drinking too much, that's another big no-no. You should not be at the bar
Yeah.
drinking because you're nervous and thinking that's going to help you. Because
And the other thing is, when you go out on dates with the ladies, don't go clubbing to the discos or whatever. Go on a quiet date where you have time to talk. And even at the socials, when you meet the ladies, ask hard questions. What are you looking for in a relationship? What's, you know, all these goals that you have, tell them and see what their goals are. Because that's what you're going to find, what you're looking for. And you have to be on the same pace with the person you meet. Now, one of the guys that was on the tour last June with me, he actually got engaged to a lady down there. But after he went down there several times to see her, she had a visa and she came to visit him in the States. They decided they weren't at the same level because she's like really active into rock climbing, mountain climbing, motorcycles and stuff. And he's an injured veteran who's can't do a lot of physical stuff like she likes to do. And they just decided, yeah, okay, you know, eventually it's going to clash and we won't be able to maintain a good relationship, so they split up.
Interesting.
But it was a mutual decision, and they were, you know, they're still friends. They're remaining friends, but they just decided that it's not going to work because they're too different on where they are in life.
Right. But look, does that not happen here all the time? Does that? I mean, you're going to get that, right? So, that's one thing that you can't hold, and you're not, but you can't hold an international couple to a higher standard than a domestic couple. Actually, most of the international, well, there's a higher success rate of international marriages than there are domestic.
I agree with that, and I'm just saying that in that instance, they really they loved each other a lot, but they just realized that their differences will eventually, make them start to resent each other.
Right.
And they didn't want to do that, so they split.
All right, let me get to some of these questions here or comments because we have some guys talking, as you know. Chris says, the women at the Mexico Social told me how much they appreciated it when I greeted each woman with an introduction during the speed dating. Huge bonus points. What do you think of that?
I was there actually when he was doing that, and the women really loved that. Yeah,
it helps, right? And what was he doing exactly?
He would shake each lady's hand as they came to the table. He would greet each lady's hand, shake her hand, and meet them that way.
Okay.
Which was making them feel special. And that's the other thing too, is when you're at the socials, you're going to each table, you want to make the women feel special, and then they're gonna realize there's something good about you.
Okay.
And a lot of it is your attitude. When you go to the socials, if you have the wrong attitude, you're not going to be successful, and you know that.
Attitude is so important. I mean, you have this one opportunity at this one evening, and then you have another evening the next night, okay? But both nights you have one opportunity to make these impressions on these different women and to see if there's any chemistry, to see if there's any reason to get to know someone better. And
exactly.
I will tell you that guys tend to sabotage themselves sometimes. They tend to focus on these petty little things or something negative, or maybe they had a bad interaction with one woman, so now they're talking about that with every other woman. I mean, things like that. They'll kill themselves. It's just not worth it.
When I went to the Kiev Kharkov tour in 21, one of the guys, we came down for breakfast, and he was complaining about the woman was expecting him to pay for dinner and her Uber and all these little things for the date, and it's just like these are just kind of little things that are more or less expected of the lady because they're putting effort out to go
right
on the date with you and stuff, and I never had an issue with it.
So we have a comment from, I don't know if I'm getting this name right, Belen, who's saying, Belen? Mm-hmm. She's saying, that's my love, my husband.
Yes, that's my wife,
yes,
Frances.
I know.
Belen is her middle name.
So make sure I'm getting it right. And Belen says, our story is real. I never thought I would love again after my children's father passed away. Our story is very beautiful. Anything can happen. Always be real with yourself. Wow, that's amazing. That deserves more than just applause, but that's so real. I mean, look, guys, these women are not just objects in a box waiting for you to come over. These are real people with real histories, real lives, real past. And
her story, John, is her husband died of cancer like 6 years ago. 2 weeks later, her father died of a heart attack. And then a week later, her mother died basically of loneliness.
Oh my gosh.
So she had three of the most important people in her life pass away within 2 months of each other.
Can't even imagine.
It absolutely devastated her.
Wow.
And she tried to date after that, and it's just nobody came close to what she needed in her life.
Wow.
Until I danced along and sang a song and swept her off her feet.
I'm just so happy the two of you found each other. I haven't had a chance to meet you yet, Belen, but I met Jeff several times, known him, and he's one of the sweetest men I've ever met, and he's got the heart the size of the Grand Canyon. I mean, he's just a great guy, and you must be a wonderful, great woman for the two of you to come together like this. So I'm really happy that in some small way we helped that happen, but it's the two of you that made it happen. The two of you are the ones that did it,
Yeah.
and I'm so glad that you went to that event that we had and gave yourself that opportunity to meet Jeff.
One of the things she was telling me is the friends that she went with, they're all excited about going and meeting foreigners and maybe falling in love and meeting these guys and everything. And two of them went out on dates with some of the guys, but she was the only one that went on a date, got proposed to, and got married to.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, look, you as like a matchmaking company, we can only do so much. We try to give everyone the opportunity. We try to put everyone in front of everyone. But yeah, the majority of the women that come to that event are not going to fall in love, are not going to get proposed to. And it's just, unfortunately, that's the way it works. But at least it gives everyone an opportunity. And hopefully they'll come back again. And maybe, they didn't meet anybody that night, but maybe another couple of months and they come back again. Maybe that'll be the time where they meet that right person, because it has to be the right person. You just don't want to settle for someone just to settle, right?
Exactly. And some guys do. I mean, they go on their first tour, and there was one guy, he had 5 dates in 2 days. He had 5 dates each of those 2 days. And his attitude was, I got to meet the woman. I got to meet the woman. I got to meet my future wife. This trip, it's going to happen. It didn't happen for him.
Yeah.
But his attitude was wrong,
Yeah, you can't force it. I mean, it's good to be open, and there's nothing wrong with meeting a lot of women, but if you're like, I got to get married, you probably won't. But if you're just going there and you're being honest with yourself, you're being realistic, and you are interfacing with these different women and engaging them, then if it's going to happen, it will happen naturally. You want it to happen organically and naturally. That's how it happened with Tanya and I. I mean, she was there, I was there, and there was a chemistry. I don't care what she says. Damn it, there was a chemistry.
Well, you got to get her drunk.
Well, it wasn't just the champagne, Jeff. It wasn't just the champagne. There was something else there. She gets mad at me sometimes when I tell that story. Like, you make me sound like I'm a drunk. I'm like, oh, no. It's just, but yeah, it's pretty funny.
No, I know. It wasn't that she was getting too drunk or anything. It was that you were slipping the roofies into her drink on
The
her.
roofies. It was the roofies. Now you know my secret. Bean says, blue is amazing. I tend to agree with him. You've got, and it's a lot of that has to do with your attitude, because look, you've met other women through this. You've dated other women. You had your ups and downs. Did you just get all, frustrated, upset, like this will never work, and go off and be a monk? No, you just kind of.
I thought about it.
Yeah.
About it.
Yes, well, you'd make a great monk, but no, you didn't do that. You kept trying. You kept doing what you needed to do until you found your princess, right? You found your queen. And that actually resonates with you, given your background with everything you do with the swords.
I found my goddess, John.
Your goddess, okay, your goddess. And it's so cool that she's on here doing this too, right, and talking about it.
Oh, yeah, well, she's in full support of the agency too. Even in Mexico, it's because she found something she never thought she would find.
Right.
And so she's a full believer and wants to promote it too. And when the social comes around, we're going to be there, and she's going to tell the ladies her story before the social starts.
Right. So let's see. Let me get to some more people here, because we're going to run out of time. John Ross Ford says, you got to pay for everything. Honestly, your favorite red pill YouTuber has probably been out for paying for more than dates. Out it for paying more dates. Just saying. Just date in good faith with your third eye open. Yeah, I mean, you do gotta date in good faith, but you also need to be watching what's going on and not be blinded. And we talk about that a lot. Sometimes guys just get blinded that they'll, you know, where do I sign the bad check? Where I don't care. I don't care.
You know what,
that's
John?
not good.
I got a great story of what happened in last June too. And one of the guys met a really nice lady on his second time down there, and they were dating and stuff, and he got caught in the trap of, you know, opening his wallet, and the lady, you know, expecting, okay, he's just going to pay for everything. And he learned a big lesson, and I mean, last I talked to him, which was like last week, he finally told me, I'm going to break it off with her, and he is planning on coming down to the social in June, I believe.
Good.
To try again.
Good. Rodolfo wants to know, how safe is Ukraine right now? I wish I could answer that. It's a war zone. And depending on where you go in Ukraine, just like, you know, well, yeah.
Well, they were showing one of the videos from the March social in Ukraine.
Well, look, most of the guys that go there say that it was pretty much business as usual, right? That they didn't really notice a lot of things out of the ordinary, except when an air siren went off because drones might be coming with a bomb to drop on their head. And so, but did they go to the bomb shelter? No. Anna was in the bomb shelter, at least the first couple times, because I told her to keep going there. But all the other guys were like, I'm not going to go to the bomb shelter. And they would just stay in their room or whatever.
Exactly.
And so, you know, it all depends on your risk tolerance. If you are, you know, you have a lot of risk tolerance and you can accept risk.
I have to say that if I would have known that there was going to be that first Ukraine social, I wouldn't have booked my Mexico tour. I would have went there instead.
You would have gone. So you'd be okay with going to Ukraine.
Oh, heck yeah.
Heck yeah. And a lot of guys are. And that's fine. But that's a personal decision. And when you ask how safe it is, that's a very difficult question to answer. Kind of depends on you not being at the wrong place at the wrong time, right? Because if you're at the wrong place at the wrong time, it can be very, very, very dangerous. But for the most part, I mean, think about it. There's millions of people that live there, and they're living there every day.
Well, see, I don't worry about that because I have a deal with death. I make him laugh, he keeps me alive.
You're funny. Doc, let's see. There's one. Steven in Las Vegas says, I spent over $100 on letters with a lady from Cartagena. We have a lot in common. I'm agreeable to releasing my contact info to the lady so that we can get to know each other and have private, intimate conversations. I also need confirmation that this is a real person before spending any more on letters. I've been told I need to spend up to $400 in order to speak with this lady, which is ridiculous. To spend this type of money to speak with a lady that I have no confirmation that she even exists on your site is insane. My question.
Video chat.
Well, yeah, no, well, I'll get to it. Yeah. My question is, what exactly is the objective of AFA in this situation? I'd like to attend a one-week dating tour. This beginning intro is pushing me away with this unprofessional letter writing situation. All right. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for you letting us know this. And first of all, just for me reading this on the air should tell you a little bit about how we are and how transparent we are, because this isn't exactly, oh, you're wonderful. You're like telling us that we're ridiculous. So all I can tell you is we've been doing this for 30 years. We're not your average dating site. We're different. We're not a do-it-yourself app or a Match.com or something like that. Okay, but we've also been very successful. And we've had lots and lots of marriages, and we haven't had anybody that's ended up in a morgue that's used our service because of things that can be unsafe. Unfortunately,
but I got better.
Yeah, well, you got better, but that's a whole nother story. You know, there's movements out there like Passport Bros and other things. And unfortunately, you know, a lot of those guys are going down and trying to get the contact information right away from the woman, which they get. Unfortunately, a lot of times it's not even the real woman. And they go and they meet her and they end up getting drugged with a date rape drug. And not to get raped, but to get robbed. And they end up getting robbed. There's been, I think, at least 6 murders in Medellin, Colombia alone from guys that have been trying to go down on their own and meet these so-called women that end up having all kinds of problems. That's not how our service works, never has. We give a ton of support and help to the women and to the men, but a ton to the women, helping them navigate this whole international dating thing, because these are women living in someplace like Cartagena, and they're not so used to meeting foreign men, and a lot can happen. I've seen a lot in 30 years, and even when you're just writing back and forth. The reason we just don't release contact information right away is, first of all, it's up to the woman when she's comfortable in releasing it. Usually, a lot of times, it's when you meet in person. Then they're more than happy to release the contact information because they know that you're serious and that you're there and the chemistry is good. But oftentimes, they'll be willing to release it even before you meet. But there is a process that we have to go through. I don't know if you're familiar with IMBRA, but it's part of it, right? International Marriage Broker Regulation Act, which we subscribe to. A lot of other companies that kind of do this don't. They just kind of don't for whatever reason, but we do. We actually had the Consulate General of the Ukraine go to our office and inspect us years ago and said that we were one of the few that we're going above and beyond and doing a great job. And I think that really does help, because part of that is getting your criminal background information. We do a sex offender check on you. There's other information we get about past marital relationships and whatnot. And then we have to give that to the woman. And then we have to have her sign it. Then we have to give her other information about her rights. Then we have to save that information, because if you decide to do a fiancé visa anytime after you first meet through us, then we have to give that information to the government, and it's a legal process. So when we do make this exchange of information, yes, we do charge for it, because that's part of why we do, because everything we have to go through for that. We'd love to be a totally non-profit organization, but in order to provide the services that we provide, we do have to charge for these things. But they're very good services. Well, and then the second part of that is that, when we first started, again, we've been around for 30 years. IMBRA's been around, I don't know, since around 2004 or 6 or something like that. So not for the whole time we've been around. But when we used to give away the contact information right away to the men, many of the men, being a foreign type site, would never travel anywhere. But they would harass the women forever. Well, why aren't you writing me back? Where are you? How come you're out Friday night? What's going on? And they would send photos of their anatomy that no woman really wants to see. Yet for some reason, men believe that they want to see these photos all the time. And trust me, we know, because we even get them on our site and we have to delete them before they get to the women, and those kind of things. So there's a little bit of a barrier to entry when it comes to that, and part of that is the cost. So there's a little bit more, but if you're very serious and you want to see this woman, then that's fine. You don't think she may be real? Well, in order for a woman to get on our site, she does have to do certain things. We have to get a government ID. We have that on file for every woman on the site. We have a video of the woman talking about, to us, explaining to her how this service works, what it's about, what it's not about, all that. And so we're very confident that this woman is there, and there's not going to be a problem in Cartagena. But if you are concerned about that, you can either go over and meet her directly, or you can do a video call with her and talk with her directly. The video call is about $125 for 30 minutes. It involves a translator being on the call with you. It involves us setting it up. So there's a little bit of a production, again, why we have to charge. But it's real, and the woman will be there, and you can talk to her. You won't be able to exchange contact information during the call, again, because of IMBRA and the reasons I just talked about. But you'll be able to ask her any questions you want to ask her, and all of that. So there's ways to verify what's going on. And I push that all the time. I think that's a wonderful thing to do, because one video call is worth 1,000 letters, I think. You get to see her. She gets to see you. You talk to each other.
Yes.
You have a third party on the phone, a matchmaker who's helping that process as well. So, I think it's a wonderful thing.
It's a great tool to see if the woman is actually real. Because I've done that several times, where I've written a letter, and got a response. And if the woman didn't want a video chat, then I stopped writing letters.
Right, and I think you should.
Video chatted, then okay, let's communicate some more. Let's meet. That was the next step, is to meet.
Yeah, and that's the way you should go. So, look, in any dating site, there can be games and stuff going on, and ours is no different. It can happen, but we're usually pretty good at policing it. We're usually pretty good about resolving any issues that ever happen. and I think Jeff can attest to that as well. So,
Yes.
but it's a big site, and yeah, you're right. There can be issues from time to time, but I think we do a pretty good job of trying to deal with it over the last 30 years. Or I don't think we'd still be here 30 years later.
Well, before I found you guys, I tried 5 different dating sites in the States, and in 4 years I had 4 dates. Decided to try international dating, went to several sites. All they wanted to do was write letters. Either they had no way to facilitate you meeting the woman. You guys are the only ones that facilitate a way to meet the women.
Yeah, and we work hard at that because I'm traveling around the country doing seminars, not to get guys to write, but to convince them that to go over and meet. And yeah, well, you've been to my seminars. You know what I do for 4 hours or 5 hours.
I could probably do the seminar for you.
You probably could, and maybe you will one of these days. But no one else does that. Not one other company I know of does that, except us.
Exactly.
And that's important, I think. Jeremy says, if I come out for the seminar on the 26th of July, can I host a Monday show on the 28th? They don't even let me host a show hardly, Jeremy. They're going to let you host. But you can co-host, maybe. We can have you on the show as a guest. But just to be up there, I had to pay off just to be able to be alone on this show anymore. It's not easy up here.
Yeah,
it's tough.
I had to make several wooden swords for the.
I know, you did. And you still didn't get to totally host it yourself. So, but I appreciate it. We'd love to see you here, Jeremy. And he also goes on to say he wants to meet everyone, anyways, especially Anna Stewart, so I can say thanks in person. Well, that's very cool. And Anna should be here then. So yeah. And
I got to make her an axe. He wants an axe.
DC Cat says you got to make her an axe. Don't give her an axe because she'll use it on me.
I know.
I want to meet everyone. Anyways, I like the work that you're doing with the show. I enjoy watching it every Monday, and hopefully when my health improves, I'll be able to do a tour. That's cool. And Saj says, the office in Columbia said that individual meetings will be $250 plus a $150 one-time fee. Not sure why the service is getting so expensive, $400 to meet one person. Yeah, well, one of the reasons, Sach, is everything is getting more expensive. And, we have a really large organization and we're trying to do things the right way, but that's still way less expensive than most other matchmaking organizations charge for an introduction. And normally when you say $400 to meet one person, but then it's $250 if you meet a second person and $250 if you meet a third person and so on.
Is the beauty of going on the tours is you get to meet all the women and you get a vacation out of it.
Well, absolutely. The tours are the best bang for your buck there. And every time I do a seminar, I do a show, and we're going over, I'm going to start getting yelled at, and then the union people are going to yell at me, and I'm going to get in trouble, but we're going to have to end it pretty soon. But, Sach, what I will say is that every time I do a seminar, or even right now, I will say, guys, if you can find a service that provides the same level of opportunity and service that we do on our group tours for anywhere near, not even less, but even anywhere near the same cost that we do, and gives you anywhere near the same level of service and opportunity, please let me know. I've never seen it. I've never seen it, but go ahead.
If a guy comes up missing, you guys send out a search party.
Well, we do. I mean, the level of service is amazing for guys. When you don't know that till you go on and you really experience it. I can sit up here and talk about it all day long. It just sounds like I'm trying to sell something. I get that. So, but if you really talk to other guys that have been on, like you and others, you'll understand that there's nothing that even comes close. So it is the best, absolute best value in singles men's dating internationally and domestically. Try going to a private matchmaker here in the States and see what the cost is to meet just a few women. Nowhere near the number of opportunities you're going to get where we provide.
Exactly.
And then as far as
one of the guys at the LA seminar that actually did that, and I was talking to him about that.
Right. And as far as the individuals go, okay, so there's an office fee of $250, and then $150 office fee, and then it's $250 for every introduction. But what you have to understand is sometimes guys think that, well, come on, all you got to do is pick up the phone and call the woman and set up the date. Okay, no. There is so much more that goes into this for you to have the ability to walk into that office and our staff to be able to arrange the date. That just doesn't
Not
happen.
all the women want to date the guys, you know?
Right. Well, that's it too. But my point is that the amount of time, energy, and resources that go into making an office, making the infrastructure, having all the logistics in place for you to be able to come down, have a safe, seamless opportunity to meet the women for that cost, it's unheard of. I mean, if you went to some other, I'm not going to mention names, but there's other kind of almost like Match.com dating companies out there internationally, and they charge like $1,000 for one date. So, $250 for a date. Yeah, you have a $150 office fee that you pay one time in an office, like if you're going to Cartagena, but then you can do as many dates as you want while you're there. Now, if you go on the group tour, there is no office fee. I mean, the price you pay on the group tour not only covers all the women that you're going to be meeting at the socials, which could be hundreds, but it also covers all the one-on-one dates you're going to do for the whole time that you're there. So it is, plus the hotel, plus the breakfast every morning, plus the pickup. I go on and on. So to me, that is your best buck. I've never been a huge proponent of going over just to meet one woman, or two women, because I think that's a long ways to go, because you still got to pay for your airfare, your hotel.
I've done that, and I can tell you from my experience, the tour is so much better because you get to meet so many more women.
And you're around other guys, and the hotel's taken care of, everything's taken care of for you. So it's a way better way to go if you look at the math. And again, this is a math problem. Do the math, look at the other opportunities that you have, right? The other options that you have, and then you'll quickly come to the realization that this is the best value out there, bar none.
And two other things I have to say about the tours. One is a lot of the guys that you meet, they're of the same mindset as you are, and you meet guys from all different walks of life that you can become really good friends with. I've met several guys. One, Chris, he's a radio host in Missouri. One of the guys I met, he's a politician in Washington.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another guy, truck driver. So you meet all different types of people, and you can get a really good friendship going, and you get to experience, like the politician in Washington I met. He connected me with a guy in the State Department that approves visas and gave me all this excess information and websites to do and research the different visas processes.
Cool. Very nice.
Which, one thing with the visas, people don't realize is student visa. They're quickly to get approved. All the woman would have to do is attend an accredited school here in the States. She can get a visa, come, stay as long as she's in school, and even get married and travel.
Very cool.
The other thing.
Oh, go ahead.
The other thing is, with going on the tours, I would suggest a 14-day tour, just because it gives you that little extra time to go out on dates. You meet somebody, you get that little extra time to date her and get to know her before you have to come home. And then the long distance relationship is where it really takes force, and you have to really work to keep it alive.
No, you do. Just like anything, but you do. All right,
I know, time to go.
3 more things here from messages, and then we're going to wrap it up before I get in big trouble and they'll let me do this show again. Jeremy says there's other websites that charge $20,000 to join their site. AFA is a steal. Malibu Ed says this is a great webcast. Keep it going, but we just need some ladies from the Ukraine live. Yeah, well, we can work on that. The time difference here is a little tougher than I get up like at 3 in the morning, but we can try that. All right, guys, look. Look, guys, I get a little passionate about the service. We've been doing it for 30 years. I believe in it. I met my wife through it. Changed my life forever. I have children now that I would have never had if not for this. And I just know that it is an amazing option. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Nothing's perfect, and we're not perfect. We're always trying to make it better.
Perfect.
But it's not perfect. I get that. And does it cost money? Yes. I've had people say, well, I wish it didn't cost me anything. I wish we didn't have to charge anything. I wish I could go to a restaurant and I didn't have to pay anything, and those prices keep going up and up. But it's just the way it is, and if you want something of quality service, then unfortunately, there's going to be a cost associated with it, but that cost I still think is less than what you're going to find among other things. But I'm really happy that some of you that have brought these things up, that you feel comfortable in doing that, because that's fine. And I'm very comfortable in answering it because that's part of this forum, this exchange of ideas. And yeah, you guys haven't really used the site yet, and you're wondering, why is this, why is that? And it's great that you're asking those questions, and you should. Not just with our service, but any other service out there that you're looking at. You should always be skeptical. You should always be looking at it and making sure it's something that you really believe in and want to do. Otherwise, don't do it. Don't use it, our site or anybody else's. All right? So, but I do appreciate you guys doing that. I'm going to give you a big hand to you guys that are asking those questions, because I think that's very cool. All right, Jeff, first of all, before we go, I really do want to thank you, but more importantly, not just you, but your lovely wife, because Belen came on and said what she said, and to me, that's just amazing. Almost brought a tear to my eye, actually.
I sent her the link to the YouTube
Well, yeah,
channel.
but it's so cool that she came on and talked about what your story and how she thought she would never love again, and that she met you, and your story's beautiful. I mean, that's what we do it for. That's why we do what we do.
I cast a spell on her, and now she's mine.
Well, I still don't know how you did it, but actually I do. I joke, but I do. I mean, you've got a heart of gold. You're a sweetheart, and she sees that, and obviously she does too, and you see that. So the two of you came together, and that's wonderful. So congratulations to both of you for being here tonight. Amazing. Really, really appreciate it. You made the show. You really did. Thank you so much. All right, guys. We are going to wrap it up. Jeff, I'll give you a chance to say any last words you want to say real quick, and then we got to wrap this up.
Yeah. Be yourself. Go on the tours. Meet the women in person. Go on a quiet date. You don't have to go to a fancy restaurant or anything. My wife and I, our first date, we went rowing on a lake on a rowboat. Spent 2 hours on the lake just talking. It was magical. But look for the little signs of things she does that shows she likes you. And if she does like you, she will make time to see you while you're down there.
Cool.
But be yourself.
All right. And, yeah. Again, thank you guys. Really appreciate it. And, guys, thank you so much. Hopefully you got something out of this show here tonight. Hope to see you at one of our seminars coming up. Don't forget about that. San Jose, Vegas, and Phoenix. So they're right on the homepage. They'll also be in your inbox, I believe, so on your admin panel. They'll be there. And then the tours coming up. I think there is still some room on those tours if you want to jump on the ones coming up in the next couple weeks. All right? All right, guys, until next time, thank you so much and have a wonderful week.